Hey everyone, today we're going to look at Horizon Forbidden West on the most powerful 8-inch handheld of 2026, and that's because it's running the AI Max Plus 395. So we're going to take this through a number of different TDP settings. We're going to also try a few different graphic settings and see how this actually performs. So we're going to start off first at 80 watts. We're at 1200p, very high settings, frame generation off, and FSR 3 set to quality. And with these settings, we have a really nice image, and the performance isn't too bad. We're at high 40s, sometimes going into the 50s, but I think we can probably adjust things to do just a little bit better. Now, keeping with similar settings, we're going to take very high settings and drop it down to high, and it didn't really do too much, to be honest. Like, we're in the 50s now instead of the high 40s, but we're looking at maybe like a 2 to 3 frame advantage, so not that much of a difference. We'll see if we can adjust some other settings to have a little bit of a larger impact. Maybe adjusting the FSR might help. But for now, we're going to drop things down to medium settings, and this looks like it had a bigger impact. Now we seem to be, we're still in the 50s, but we're closer to the mid 50s. Maybe like 3 frames better, which is something, but it's still a very minimal change. So now we're going to try to adjust it again, and we're going to go down to low settings. We're still at 80 watts, and now we seem to be pretty firmly in the mid 50s. Occasionally it does dip down, but less of an impact than I was hoping. Going from very high down to low only really yielded us like 5 or 6 FPS. So we're going to have to probably change the resolution or possibly play with our FSR or frame gen settings. Okay, so now we're at very low, and this doesn't seem to really do anything. Like, we're still in the mid 50s. Now, granted, we're in a slightly different spot on the stage here, but less of an impact than I was hoping for. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to very high settings, and we're going to try test a few other things. I wanted to see what the difference was when we turned off FSR, and really it's not having that much of an impact. Turning it off, we seem to be pretty much the same as when we had it set to FSR quality. So for the next tests, I think I'm going to keep it off. So we're going to turn on frame generation and stay with very high settings at 1200p. And with frame gen, we seem to be, in the mid 80s, sometimes going up to 90s. So for a game like this, I think frame generation is a pretty good option. So now we're going to switch this to our battery mode with 55 watts. And we did lose some frame rate with frame generation, very high settings, 1200p. We're at like high 60s to early 70s, which is, about 5 to 10 FPS lower than what we were getting on the 80 watts. So now at 45, we seem to be sitting around 60, sometimes in the mid 60s. So you don't really want to go too much lower than this with frame generation. So if we get any lower than this, we're probably going to have to turn frame gen off. And at 30 watts, that's exactly what we've done. We've turned off frame generation because it's just too low. It's not going to be a good experience. So with these very high settings, it's not hitting 30 FPS. We're going to drop down to high and see how it does. Now we seem to be at 30 FPS, just a little bit under on the occasion, and occasionally up to like 32 FPS. So not the smoothest. But we're going to go down to 20 watt just to see. We're going to stay at 1200p, high settings, FSR off, and frame gen off, and we're only at like 20 FPS, so it's definitely not playable. So we're going to have to lower our settings. We're going to go all the way down to very low to see if it makes a difference. And at very low settings, we seem to be over 30 FPS most of the time here. That'll wrap it up for this one. If you want to see other gameplay videos, check out the other videos on the OK-ish Gamer channel. And if you want to learn more about the Apex, check out the OK-ist Gamer channel, where I have my product reviews and a little bit more information on the device. If you want to chat with me and other creators, join the Handhelds United Discord server. I've left a link on the screen as a QR code and also in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.